Oh, hi there. I wanted to make a video talking about Arnold Schwarzenegger and his take on Donald Trump and reviving the coal industry. Arnold Schwarzenegger is against it. He brought up a few points that are definitely valid. Um, it's just I've only seen a few of Arnie's, I guess they're video blogs or whatever, when he's going to talk about something. One of the things I do when I first go to look at any video these days is I read the comments first of all, and I see if any of them, shed any insight at all into what the video is about. And actually, quite often, people go off in a tangent. It's like they didn't even watch the video. They're typing, and it's got little or nothing to do with the video. And there's all kinds of examples. There's just people who, have really, really stupid opinions. Anyway, so I go and watch the video, and Arnie's going on about how the coal industry is outdated technology and that it's bad for the earth and, the usual kind of stuff, right? Well, the thing is, the other resources, okay, you get wind power. Not very effective. It just isn't. Natural gas. Um, Coincidentally, the Americans and the Canadians have very little of it, according to the internet. Like, two countries which we were more or less at an undeclared war with, had Hillary Clinton won the election, have probably, oh, I don't know, like 60% of the world's natural gas, that being Russia and Iran. Um, and, with the rhetoric going around on the TV about, oh, Donald Trump and his collusion with the Russians and how him and Putin are best buddies and all that. A lot of homosexual jokes and things like that. Um, and Hillary Clinton would have been totally against it and things like that. This all gets back to people who lived through the Cold War and the fear of that. Those days are over. We got new problems now, new enemies. Uh, it's not in Russia's interest to be the gigantic cunt that they were as the Soviet Union. Uh, I mean, there are many dignified ex-KGB guys who would be insulted if you asserted that they were running a Soviet-style government. I'm not saying they're not authoritarian because that's obviously not true, but that doesn't mean that they're Soviet. Uh, because the Soviets, they did a lot of stupid things. They were very, very dumb people in a lot of ways. They accomplished things, but they were very, very dumb people. Anyway, okay. So what's the next renewable resource that could be used? Solar energy. Sounds perfectly all right. Um, Sun's always going to be there. Uh, it rains down rays onto the earth, and there are a lot of places in the United States that get very warm weather, so it makes kind of sense. Now, who are the leading people in that? Okay, you got the Krauts. They're number one, evidently. They produced, what was the figure? I think it was 38 gigawatts of of energy. Just give me a second. Yeah, 38.2 gigawatts of the 177 produced globally in 2014. Now, these are just the numbers that are the official ones, for the general public. And you know how I feel about statistics and what they tell the general public. It's not always accurate. And second in charge of solar power manufacturing is actually the country that's the most abusive when it comes to coal. and uses it quite regularly all the time and is polluting their country, that being China. So I guess you would think, okay, if Donald Trump doesn't pursue the coal industry, besides, we could do a way better job at pursuing the coal industry than the Chinese. That's just a fact. Because Arnold was going on about, oh, poisonous gases and dirty water. And of course, all those are real bad things. Um, but you know what else is a bad thing? Unnecessarily giving money to the Chinese. And that it's just hypocritical to turn around and go, no, we got to invest in solar energy. We've got to give money to the Chinese so that they have more resources to put their money wherever they want to. Doesn't make any sense. Uh, um, okay. Um, and let's take a moment to think about this. Okay, what is 177 gigawatts of solar power energy? What is it? I don't know. But in Back to the Future, somebody compared it to they compared 1.21 gigawatts to a bolt of lightning. Now, I'm not going to say a bolt of lightning isn't a lot of energy because that's just not true. However, there have been people who have been struck by lightning and survived. So, in theory, 177 gigawatts of energy um, couldn't kill Godzilla. So, uh, you know, um, I don't know how efficient that's going to be. I think they got to work on a little bit better. I don't think they're as good at their technology as they like to say. And that's the other thing is like, okay, these solar panels, what are they made of? They're made of those rare earth metals that are needed to build computers that the Chinese are stealing from Africa. Okay, and if that's not bad enough, when they build these solar panels in China, what did they use to power the equipment to build it? Why, they use coal. So, okay. And is Arnold living in the past? Like, does he not understand wind currents changing and climate, climate change and, well, I'm not going to say global warming. Well, it is global warming. That whole shebang. He has to know, right? But then again, he's talking to the public. And I told you, I read through, the comments in the section, and I swear, like, sometimes I don't feel like a very intelligent person, but I think the world revolves around me because everyone else is a total dumbass. That's what I think. And uh, like, there's a lot of business ideological beliefs behind this whole thing, which brings me to my next point. Arnold Schwarzenegger was saying, "Oh, coal is bad for the future generations, which is what we have to look back for. The Terminator went back through time to save future generations." He didn't do that in the first movie. In the first movie, he did the opposite. And in the second movie, there was the T-1000, and in every movie the Terminator shows up, the villain shows up too. Or whomever the good guy is, the villain always shows up too because it's just a movie. Don't get me wrong, the first two Terminator movies were good. Um, but anyway, so Arnold Schwarzenegger goes on, "Oh, you want to live back in the past," and it's just like back to the 80s. He's talking about fax machines, Beanie Babies, and Blockbuster. And then you know what? In his video, I forget how long it was about 6 minutes, I think, quite quick. Um, it seems that he starts talking about Blockbuster a whole heck of a lot more than than the coal thing that he was going on about. And I have made videos explaining exactly what's wrong with modern technology and how it's only going to get worse. So you want to protect future generations? Open up the fucking Blockbuster and let people rent DVDs. Or reopen HMV and let them buy DVDs themselves. Why not? Because there are many reasons why new technology is not good. Arnold Schwarzenegger, he was a man who, physically worked out a lot. He was all about exercise and things like that. And he makes the point of saying Netflix. He says Netflix is convenient because you can do it at home as opposed to going to a store. That's encouraging laziness. That's encouraging people to be, like living in their apartment as like little mole men hiding behind their computer screen going, I'm only paying $10 a month for my Netflix. I don't have to go out the door. Okay. And besides, I happen to know that most people from that time era actually prefer to go to a store to do things. They don't want to go on the Amazon. They don't want to download Netflix and pay for that and have Netflix dictate what they can watch at their discretion because you agree to their terms as soon as you buy their program. And of course, there's all the other kinds of problems with new technology too, and he's completely ignoring all this. Well, actually, I don't think Arnie did. I think he had to just be careful with what words he used. But citizens being spied on, very real thing with new technology. In fact, anybody can be spied on at any time, and not only that, they can be humiliated at any time with people doing it. Who are lurkers in the shadows who are, just they're programmed to be creeps, like chuds or something like that. Nobody knows who they are, and they walk amongst us like vampires or something, uh, or some other kind of hideous monster. Um, yeah, these people, they can insult you, and because they have this ideology that if you didn't directly hear it, it doesn't exist. And I've made this comparison before. It's like a tree that fell in the forest. Some people say no, sound doesn't exist because no one was there to hear it. Well, for one thing, there's enough insects in a forest that something heard it. And two, that is the dumbest shit I've ever heard. Of course, the fucking tree made a sound when it fell over. What kind of fucking retard are you? Anyway, um, so Arnie was talking a bit cryptic, okay? And I haven't watched too many of his videos, but like he comes out going, "Ooh, I don't like Donald Trump." In this one, he's got a bobblehead of him. I'd like to get a bobblehead of Donald Trump, but obviously I've been at work for years, so I'm gonna spend my money a little bit more wisely. Um, the thing is, I don't entirely agree with the coal industry. I mean, I obviously don't want to see Yanks out of work because that's just not good for us. But I don't believe in collaborating with the Chinese, and Donald Trump is most certainly not doing that. I don't think there's any, actually intelligent political leader that enjoys dealing with the Chinese on any level because they're just not trustworthy people, and they're very abusive, and there are a lot of horrible things about how their government runs their country. And they are what they are. They're a dragon that's cooped up in its cave somewhere. It's not to be trusted, and we don't always see what it's doing, and that's a creepy thing. And I don't feel like, if I could put my 2 cents into it, um, saying dealing with the Chinese is a good thing. I don't think so. I don't think we should deal with them at all. I don't even think we should have given them the internet. Who knows? They may never have figured out how to build the internet if we didn't give it to them. Somebody did. as some sort of business deal because they went, oh, well, what are they going to be able to do with it? How are they going to improve it? And it got them on a different train of thought, and then all of a sudden they're the leaders in facial recognition technology. They're leaders in fiber optics, faster internet, this, that, and the other. And it's not because they're especially gifted, because they're not. It's because they're especially abusive, and they have their engineers working round the clock. Like, and it's basically do or die. If they can't get the job done, they are in deep trouble. And like, there are factories filled with engineers in China that are just terrified for their lives because they have to get this done. They have to do better. And you see examples of it. Like, you look at the Olympic teams for the Chinese. For example, they're supposed to be very good gymnasts. And you go, oh, well, that's very nice of them. I wonder why they don't do so well at the Olympic Games. That's because they abuse the fuck out of, like 10-year-olds and things like that, and make them do all kinds of horrible stretches and just like unfair body contortions and things like that in a way that a body's not supposed to be done. And who knows what else they do. And they end up breaking most of their proteges. And they just have so many of them that, it's like, whoop, this one didn't work, that one didn't work, this one didn't work, that one didn't work. And, probably one in every 5,000 uh, somehow survives. And that's who they bring to the Olympic Games. And, the other countries, we go, that's a human rights issue. You know, Sometimes you wonder if people forget that when the topic of Asia is on the table. Because I have heard people have the dumbest opinions the world has ever known. I went, they can't be this stupid. I really don't want to believe people are this stupid. But they are. They're like sincerely that stupid. It's like, the fuck is wrong with you? I mean, like, they say alcohol kills brain cells, right? Well, it must be some sort of parallel universe. What if they need alcohol to have brain cells? Because obviously whatever they're doing is not promoting intellectual growth. Anyway, that's that part of the subject. So there's all kind of business dealings and friends and enemies and all that within business circles in the United States, globally, and all that sort of stuff. And as far as borders go, um, they are on a dotted line on a map. But, if Germany was the largest producer of natural gas, evidently he's not giving too much of it to the United States, or the Germans aren't giving it too much of it to the United States, and most likely it's been distributed amongst Europe. But I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Russia was rubbernecking, going, you know, um, uh, we want your gas resources too. Wait, am I getting confused here? Oh no, wait, German was solar power. That's right. They produce 32.38. Well, let's see where Germany is actually on that. Okay. No, I got confused for a second. Hold on. Actually, if you look at the top 20 countries of natural gas producers, not many of them are our buddies. Look at them. One of them's Iraq, Mozambique, Kazakhstan, Nigeria, Qatar, Russia, Iran, and after you get about 10, Algeria, it really drops on the country's production of natural gas. I mean, number 11 sits Australia at 3.5. million proven reserves, and that's a paltry to the 47 million proven reserves that the Russians claim to have. We don't really know that, do we? I wouldn't even be surprised if the American government doesn't really know that. But yeah, most of the countries here that you're looking at, I'm looking at it right now, that produce natural gas, they're not our buddies, actually. They're not at all. Okay, yeah, so I got confused for a second. I confused natural gas with solar energy. So the Germans are not in the race for the most natural gas. That was a mistake on my part saying that. Anyway, coal is bad for the earth. That much is for certain. However, it's cheap and it's fast. And, you know, uh, as I said, it's not a good situation either way. You invest in solar energy, the Chinese make the solar energy parts from minerals that they stole from Africa, basically, and they use coal to power the factories to build those solar panels. And then, okay, so China's a big smog pit, and that just gives them another reason to hate us until they come up with some sort of giant windmill, I suppose, so that they can blow all their toxic junk over our way, which we do not want. I don't see that very often, so I think we got that taken care of, but that doesn't mean they're not thinking that. And anyway, yeah, like, yeah, getting back to investing in the future, like, I don't agree with new technology because, for the reason I don't think that sitting at home watching, stuff off of Netflix is good. I don't like how they can track everything you're doing on the internet, and most people aren't up to anything at all, but they will calibrate it to their own whatevers if they feel that they have the right to do so. And them feeling they have the right to do so and them actually having a moral right to do so are two different things. And a lot of people don't understand that. Bureaucrats, they are corrupt, a lot of them. And, you're not really supposed to say that, but a lot of people do, and it's the truth. So what difference does it make if I put it on the YouTube, as I made that point clear in my video yesterday about Justin Trudeau? And who even knows what that, Two-Face is even thinking about on this subject at all? He probably just wants to be a problem for Donald Trump, so he's upping the ante on the anti-Trump rhetoric. And it wouldn't be so bad. It's just so mind-numbingly stupid that it concerns me that leadership isn't particularly bright, yet the world revolves around them because everyone else is a bigger dumbass. And it's like, isn't anyone gonna step up to the plate and explain things in a plausible manner? And you go, there are people. And, I think Arnold Schwarzenegger could be one of those people who could step up to the plate if you're a bit younger and things like that. Except, there's a lot of people who are backstabbers and, all that kind of stuff. And you always got to look over your shoulder as soon as you come into power or anything like that. You always got to, because you being you and you having your opinions, somebody's not going to like you for it. That's just assuming they don't like you because they might not like Arnold Schwarzenegger because he's Austrian. They may not like Donald Trump because he's a white guy. Who would think that that would be a reason that people would not like other people is based on the fact that they happen to be Caucasian. Uh, but surprisingly, it is true. There are people out there who do not like Caucasians for being Caucasians, and it doesn't matter what they do. And it doesn't matter how much appeasing and apologizing guys like Trudeau do, these people are never going to like white people. And Trudeau, what he doesn't explain when he's apologizing and, this, that, and the other, is that the way of doing that is to go, all right, the First Nations, for example, I've said this in another video, um, you were shafted decades ago before Justin Trudeau was in power. We'll take it out on a white company now, give you the business opportunity, and we'll do it because they're white, and this will hopefully smooth over relations with them. And, that's not equality. That's not everyone playing fair. That's you shafting people, whites in this case, has been that way for quite some time, um, to appease other people that will never like you anyway. Um, so Justin Trudeau's policies they're kind of screwed up. And this whole, hippie circle of kumbaya and things like that is retarded. Just retarded. Um, because, it is a warlike mentality going, we're not going to get along with these people and that's just the way it is. But that's how they think. And, for us not to at least consider that possibility of thought would be most unwise. And, it just leaves for the door being wide open to a creepy, um, Matrix style version of what really goes on in the world. And, you know, it's a complicated subject. It's not easy to explain, especially to people who don't want to hear it. And, people who don't want to hear your version of the story, just for whatever biases they have, don't waste your time on them because obviously they're well rooted in their personal beliefs or business associations or whatever. And they will show up out of nowhere and be a problem. And, it's not like how leadership used to be. Leadership used to be where the president or whoever was in charge, and that's the way it was. Now, more so than before, there are thorns in the person's side, and he's getting pushed around more than he ought to be. And normally I would say no to the coal industry, but the fact is, the greater evil is that the Chinese would profit from us abandoning coal and going strictly to renewable energies, which don't produce enough energy in the first place. Not right now, anyway. I'm sure they'll improve upon that, but they haven't done it yet. And the thing is, you can't compare the coal industry in the United States to the one in China. The one in China, of course, the figures are all bullshit that are on the internet. They have mine collapses and poisonous leaks and all kinds of things like that all the time in China. I bet you Google it up and they'll say, oh, maybe 1,000 people a year die of that. That's kind of lowballing it. Life and death over there is cheap, and they have very, very low safety standards. Everybody knows that, and there's some people who just seem to forget that when they go to have a discussion about it. In the United States, especially with this extra money that Trump will bring in with his tariffs on aluminum and steel products, he can make the coal industry a lot safer than that one in China. He probably could have done it anyway, but this will really, really build things up. And this is keeping in mind that Justin Trudeau is the prime minister and he's Mr. Ass Kiss to everybody. And, you know, from certain points of view, I'm sure both men are very persuasive. But, we do live in a society where if somebody is convinced that they can't convince you and that you got a mouthpiece on you, you have a tendency to get a bit belligerent about it, as I've said before. And Justin Trudeau is a man that most certainly could get belligerent about somebody contradicting his pathetic rhetoric. And it's funny. How long have I been talking on this video? Let me check for a second. 30 minutes. Arnold Schwarzenegger's his video was 6 minutes long, and I've been talking about, well, aspects of his video for over 30 minutes. It's amazing, isn't it? Don't need that much information, and I can just start talking about all the things that are associated with what he's talking about. And I'm sure he's got me bested. I bet he goes, "Oh, you want to play that game, huh?" And he could probably talk to me for 6 hours on the subject. Uh, well, I wasn't educated in that subject the way Arnold Schwarzenegger was, so I don't know. And it's so anyway. I'll finish this up. He did talk about Blockbuster. I'd be very keen on seeing that being brought back. Because I want to rent a DVD, and I don't think it should be anybody else's business what I'm watching on the television. Especially if it comes from a reputable business like Blockbuster or HMV or Sunrise or whatever. And Arnie had made the point that he's living in the 80s when most of Arnie's movies were made. So I guess Arnie's a bit partial to the way how things used to be. And I think a lot of business leaders are, because of all the creepy sort of things with new technology that people can do. I did notice with meme generators, um, take a guy like Don Cherry, for example. I bet you he absolutely despises people being able to do what they can do with something like a meme generator. And it's not just that they're putting words on them that they didn't say, but it's also the other things that go with it. He probably doesn't like that at all because he's an old, grouchy old man. He doesn't like that. And for good reason. I don't like it either. And I noticed because I looked up meme generator Don Cherry. It was going to be a harmless meme I was going to make. I did make actually on a hockey trash forum. And it was saying, if you watch basketball and football, you don't get an opinion, which is true. People were criticizing me because I didn't specifically pick one team, although I have 8 Vancouver Canuck jerseys. And here they are watching basketball and football. A lot of people watch football, and a fair amount of people watch basketball. I don't know, but those are not my sports. I don't like them. They're not my thing. Um, I have my own reasons. And on that note, I think I'm going to finish up this video. It's been fun talking to everybody on the internet, even though they're all cunts. However, you can talk to a cunt, and it doesn't matter that they're a cunt if they're losing the argument, because then it becomes hilarious. And when you make them look like a retarded cunt, it's even better. So, okay, they can get their cheap shots in, but at the end of the day, if they don't win the discussion, then they're worse off, because as all the horrible things they do to innocent people, as far as, drawing things on it, making memes of them and things like that, insulting them behind their backs, they do it to themselves too. So you proving them wrong will result in their competition insulting them about that, and it's like a double whammy. And like, I mean, you don't have any say either way, so it's just like, sorry, I don't feel bad for you. You were an asshole. You tried to screw me over, so go fuck yourself. Anyway, some of those points I brought up before, and on that, now I'm going to finish up this video. So I will talk to you guys later. Have a good one.